All right, you're listening to 91.5 WUML Blues Deluxe, and it's my honor and pleasure to have Eddie 9 Volt, or 9V as he says, on with me. Hello, Eddie. How are you?
Doing wonderful. I got my jacket. It's actually hot in here, but it's very cold outside. I just came in from outside, and
And you're where now? You're calling me from where?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
And it's cold. Wow.
It was in Georgia. It's crazy. Yesterday was 60 degrees, and today it's 30. So that's how it rolled.
Yep. Well, I'm in Massachusetts, and it's always, you never know. It's like 58 here today. Yesterday it was like 30. So there you go.
That's crazy. I love Massachusetts, though. A lot of cool old architecture in the states.
So you've been up in the New England area up here.
Yes, sir. We played a few places. I can't really remember where. It all kind of runs together. But oh, hold on one second. I don't know why. Oh, I'm so sorry. My dog laid on the remote. That's live.
There you go.
Sorry about that. I was like, why did the TV start? My dog laid on the remote. Anyway, but yeah, I like going up north to like Boston, all up there. We play at Massachusetts. Fall River's up there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we play the Narrow Center a bunch. Yeah, we like it up there, man. I'm an East Coast guy. I like being out west, but honestly, I like putting on layers and being cold, to be honest.
So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in McDonough, Georgia. I was born in Atlanta. McDonough is a little town right outside of Atlanta, about probably 30 minutes.
And you're still there. You're still in Georgia.
I'm still in Georgia, yes, sir. I want to move overseas every day. We just got back from Europe, and I love just the way of life over there. But I'd rather live in the South in the States than anywhere else, to be honest. Maybe Colorado one day, but yeah, I like Georgia. There's so many good musicians in Atlanta. It's kind of like, I think the best place for music in the world is New Orleans, but I think Atlanta's a pretty close second, to be honest.
There you go. So how did you come up with Eddie 9 Volt?
That's a good question. A long time ago when we were talking about previously about Tinsley Ellis, he originally, when we were starting this whole project, I didn't know what to do. I got bored, and when I lived out in my grandparents' double-wide trailer out in Monticello, Georgia, we had to move there right before COVID, and so we were out there. And I just made like a blues record with one microphone because I knew I always wanted to go back to the blues. And it was going to be called Brooks Mason Blues Band. That's what we were going to do it. But I don't know. I've never been fans of, there's so many, Joe Schmo blues bands. And so I wanted to be a little bit different. So I came up with this alter ego of this Eddie guy who's just, honestly, if the honest truth is, we're really big fans of like mobsters, like Sopranos and stuff. So,
yep.
It was either going to be like Tony or Eddie, and there's already a Tony Holiday. So I was just like, well, let me call myself Eddie. And I just did 9. I don't know where it came out, to be honest. Just Eddie 9 Volt. A lot of guitar pedals use 9 volt battery. So maybe that.
There you go. There you go. That's a good one.
I don't really remember, to be honest.
So growing up, were you listening to blues? What were you listening to? What kind of music were you listening to as a kid?
So as a kid, my mom played the radio. My dad was a big metalhead. He was a big Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, Metallica, which got me and my brother really into heavy metal. And then we got into like death metal, which I know is kind of crazy. I don't seem like that kind of guy. But I really got into a lot of metal, and I started playing drums. And, I love playing, what I would do, I would put in my little earphones with headphones and just play to these metal drum, songs and stuff. And I'll never forget it. My dad bought us an old 80s PV PA speaker, or EV, I think. And these things, they were almost as tall as this ceiling right here. They were so loud. And he got me a bass drum mic. I don't know how we never got the cops called, but I would mic my bass drum up and turn that PA up, and I would practice to songs in the house. And we only had like a 2-bedroom house. So, my mom used to always sit in the back and just turn up her QVC on that little tiny TV, and my dad would be watching South Park. But, you know, I got into the blues, man, honestly, by way of the Beatles. The Beatles are my favorite band of all time. I'm a YouTube kid. You know, I grew up in the generation of YouTube, which now, I mean, it's just, there's so much stuff on it now. But when I was growing up, there really wasn't that much stuff on it. But there was really cool videos. You know, I'd watch everything on the Beatles. And I saw this thing. I watched Your Blues, which is Rolling Stones' Rock and Roll Circus.
Yeah.
I saw Your Blues, which is Mitch Mitchell, Keith Richards, John Lennon, and Eric Clapton, and they're singing that blues song. But anyway, so I look on the right and to the suggested videos, and I see this black and white video, this black and white thumbnail, and it's just Howlin' Wolf's head, and it's like the whole thumbnail because his head's so big. I was like, what is this? I've never even seen this. And so I clicked on it, and it was Howlin' Wolf at Newport, 66, playing, what's that song? Dust My Broom. And ever since I heard that, I knew that blues hit me in a way that no other music has ever hit me. Kind of the same way when you hear the Beatles sing, you know, Harmony for the first time. And so I really just went on a rabbit hole. I'm still on a rabbit hole of just finding obscure old music. That's really what I try to do every day, you know. That's how
What have you found lately?
Lately, you know, I'm making a new record now, or not really. I'm just kind of in the area of doing demos for a new record. But you know, so every day I wake up and I listen to, you know, at least an hour or something of Spotify just to kind of get the wheels turning. You know, honestly, I mean, I listened to a lot of the Purify Brothers. They had a hit in the day called "I'm Your Puppet." I really like that song. I need to get out of my car. I keep forgetting I have an Arthur Alexander record that I bought. And I love Arthur Alexander. Anything old Muscle Shoals fame, I love it, man. I just, yeah. You know, I with this new record, Saratoga, I really dove into Crosby. I mean, I'm a huge Neil Young fan. I mean, I love Neil Young. But I really dove into the Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and you definitely hear some of those elements on the new record. But so yeah, I you know, people always tell me that I have a way of you know, being able to do versatile, because I mean, I like playing, and you know, I don't really want to be known as a blues artist, you know. I mean, you know, because I do so much more than that, and that's what I really like to do. I like to, you know,
mix it up,
stretch my vocabulary, you know.
Yep, that's good. So when did you become a professional musician? When did you decide that's what you were going to do?
Well, as soon as I I saw my math papers getting back from the test, they were all 30s and 20s. I knew I wasn't going to be a good student. I only caught one ball in the outfield, and I was protecting my face. And I remember them telling me to throw it. I didn't know what to do. I knew I wasn't going to be a sports guy. I was terrible. So, you know, I always just got into music because it's kind of what clicked first, and we don't have anybody in our family that's musically inclined. Now, however, you know, my uncle was the one that got me into music. You know, he was just he played guitar in a frat when he was a kid. And, when we would go over to my grandparents, because we would eventually move there, but when we would go over there just to hang out and have parties, family parties, Uncle Brian, he had a drum kit. He would bring it out and we'd play. And so fast forward, you know, everyone noticed that I was getting really good at it. My brother was getting good at it. Uncle Brian could do only 3 chords. But so, you know, finally we got an opportunity to do a gig in McDonough, Georgia. And, you know, normally we've done some metal gigs. I think that we did like 3 or 4 metal gigs, and I think we only made $600 for all those 4 gigs. And so we realized, well, maybe we need to change it up a bit. And I got a call from my buddy. I guess I wouldn't have got a call when I was in middle school. He told me, he said, "Hey, look, my dad's band's opening up or playing the show at this diner. They were wondering if we wanted to play on their break." So I said, "Sure, I'd love to play drums." And they're like, "No, you need to sing." And I was like, "I've never sang and played guitar, period." So I had a week to learn as much CCR as I could, and I learned as much CCR as I could, because, you know, they're pretty easy chord songs, but you can sing them, you know. And that was, to answer your question, that was the first time I got onto a stage, and I, had my little, it was a 50s diner. I was really into like dressing in suits. You can look at my old pictures, you can see that. I used to wear suits all the time, and I would, had all my, all my stuff on, and I went and I sang on the mic, and I crushed it. I mean, I absolutely crushed it. There's a video I recently posted of that night. I think I was doing Jailhouse Rock by Elvis. And it was from that moment when everyone freaked out. They were just like, I could, I never really had a voice. No one ever really, I was kind of a chameleon in high school. But as soon as I noticed that people were listening to me.
And you knew it. You knew it when it happened.
I knew immediately that is what I was going to do, or I was at least going to die trying to do. And here we are. That was 2013. No, Jesus, that would probably been 2011. So that was over. See, I can't think of the math. I don't know how many years that is.
It's been a while. Think about it. It really it has. We're in 2024 going into 2025. That's quite a while.
It's crazy. It's crazy to look back at this year. It's been an absolute blur. I've been to Europe twice. I've been to Germany. I've been to Greece. I've been to all these places, Poland, and just. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy thinking I watched that video of me, being 13 years old, and just watching that, and just, as an adult, and looking back on it, it's very, surreal. It's just like I can see that ambition and just in my eye, even though the video is very, grainy, you can't really see it well. But no, that gig changed my life, and from there on, my dad has always been very supportive. We're not a wealthy family by any means, but my dad's always been supportive, and I mean, him and my mom argued a lot. That was a very that was where I kind of took solace in music. I had a great childhood. There was no abuse or anything like that, but my mom and dad would argue a lot, and they got a divorce and all that. But I think that was my outlet. I was would go into my room and just play drums and not hear them, but yeah, my dad was always pretty in the beginning. He was really hard on us, kind of like the Tiger Woods dad, but it was just because he was upset in his marriage and stuff. But he got us this book called the Indie Band Survival Guide, and he had like highlights in it and everything, and he just made us read it all the time. And he would come home. He's like, "How many gigs do you have?" And I'm like, "I'm 14. I can't even get into the bars, And but no, it was really good. I mean, he really pushed us, and anytime we got, we were pansies and we wanted to quit, he'd always say, you can't quit, but having that dad that was like, never like, hey, when are you going to get a real job, to the point where he was arguing at us if we wanted to quit, saying, keep going, So that was, honestly, I look at all these people, all these musicians that didn't really make it. And a lot of it had to do with their parents just basically saying, get a life,
Yep. So let's talk about Tinsley Ellis. You mentioned him before we got into the interview, and that's kind of a turning point for you as well, for getting your latest release issued. Let's talk about Tinsley and you putting that recording together. Talk about that.
And sorry if I'm fidgeting. These are my wife's bar stool chairs. They're not very comfortable. But Tinsley was always, when I quit my last band, Preacherman, I always told myself, if I'm not going to do this music, I always love to go back to the blues. So I made a little record in a double wide trailer, and I sent it to Tinsley Ellis because he's being in Atlanta, and he's, a legend, and I knew maybe he could give me some advice. And sure enough, he was more than gracious enough, and he called me, and he said that this is some of the best stuff, and the album's called Left My Soul in Memphis. He said, this is some of the best stuff I've heard in a long time. You need to send it to Bruce Iglauer of Alligator Records. Anyway, and so Bruce didn't like it. So I literally sent it to Bruce Iglauer and Thomas Ruf. And I typed out on an old typewriter. I used to have it right here. My wife hates it. She always hides it because she hates to hear the clacking. I just like using it, And so I made a letter, and I sent out a CD, one to Thomas, and one to Iglauer. And Iglauer passed on it, and Thomas told me, he said it's the best stuff he's heard. He flew over from Germany to Atlanta and saw us at Blind Willie's the night before the shutdown. So it was just nick of time. Tinsley Ellis, you know, he got me my booking agent. So I owe a lot of my career to Tinsley Ellis, and you know, I need to go over and see him. You know, we're right down the road from each other, but you know, just I've been so busy. I just got back last week from Europe, so I'm still just kind of jet lagged.
So explain to the audience why Bruce didn't like it.
Well, he said that it was very distorted, and that's how if you listen to any of my records, you can tell I like to add a lot of gain and distortion, sometimes too much. But I don't know. I like it because, you know, you listen to all these old blues records back in the day, and you hear them like when they hit the drums real hard, it just distorts the whole track, you know? So I try to, you know, I don't have a tape machine and anything like that. But yeah, so Bruce didn't, he said it was just too distorted. And I told Thomas, I said, yeah, Bruce don't want to sign me. And he said that was the reason why, because he heard that he didn't. So Thomas signed me, you know?
See that?
Bruce in outside of Illinois a few years ago, and I talked all the old records, you know, all the my mind is blank because I'm jet lagged. But one of my favorite artists and best album I think he ever put out was he used to be on the cigarette. I can't think of his name. The Getaway. What's his name? Who sang The Getaway? Fenton Robinson. That's what I'm thinking of.
Fenton Robinson. Yeah.
He did that record with Fenton Robinson. I'm a geek, man. I mean, I would rather sit in the studio all day and never play live. I like chasing sound, so I had a field day that day, man. Talking to Bruce.
Yeah. And Fenton wrote "Somebody Loan Me a Dime" that everybody in the world is covered.
Yeah, and I think did he write Texas Flood, or was that somebody else? I know
I think it was W.C. Clark that wrote that song.
Okay, but yeah, I love Fenton Robinson, man. He should have been a lot bigger than he was, to be honest.
Yeah, and he didn't get any rights to all those people that were doing those songs too.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, love Fenton though, man.
So let's talk about Saratoga. That's the latest one you have, right?
Yes, sir. Saratoga,
and it's on Ruf Records.
Yep, it's our third record with Ruf.
Wow, 3. That's good.
Yeah, we're pretty proud, man. I mean, you know, we have a great relationship with Thomas. We signed a 3-year deal, 3-record deal with Thomas, and we put out Little Black Flies, and we did Capricorn, which was a more. I mean, I like, you know, I like the I can't think of the word, the chronology, whatever it is, the word. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I listen to all these old artists, you know, like Van Morrison, for example. You know, he started out like a lot of people. They were blues artists, or at least they were doing blues, and they moved to R&B, and then, you know, then they did their stuff later on. So I've always kind of wanted to layer my career like that. So if someone wanted to hear my early stuff, it's blues, and then I do the R&B and soul. And then this record, I mean, you know, it's literally like making a record in 65 and then a record in 69. And Saratoga is a record that sounds like 71, you know? So that's the best way I can explain it.
And the name Saratoga, where'd that come from?
So Saratoga, you know, a lot of times when it comes to naming an album, you know, it can just be so confusing and so time consuming. I usually like to name them after title tracks, but I wrote Saratoga on a day off when the song Saratoga on a day off in Saratoga, Wyoming.
Wow. And, you would think New York, because Saratoga's. Go ahead.
A lot of people think that. And but so we were in Saratoga, Wyoming, in this town that was just, I mean, I love out west. I mean, it was just a Dollar General town, you know, nothing really there. Nothing really anything going on. And so I had a day off. I cooked for the band like we like to do. We like to, you know, get a decent meal every once in a while instead of eating fast food. But yeah, we wrote that song, and I came home and from the tour recorded it immediately. No, we actually recorded that in Denver. Long story short, we were originally going to do the whole album out in Denver with Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats. Have you heard that band?
Oh yeah.
With his drummer Pat. We were originally supposed to do it at Nathaniel's home studio, but we got pushed to Pat's studio, which is still a good studio. But he didn't have a Neve console, which is what I was told. So honestly, I mean, I'm great friends with Pat, but we kind of didn't get done what we needed to get done. So we did like 2 or 3 songs on that album. We did Saratoga, Halo, and Delta. And then we finished everything else at our home studio in Atlanta. We call it Echo Deco Studios.
Echo Deco Studios. Wow. And then it was mixed and mastered where? Did Thomas have anything to do with that, or?
My brother Lane mixed and engineered majority of the record. The two title tracks, Halo and Saratoga, were mixed at Sonic Ranch in Texas, which they did a great job, but I didn't know they were going to be $1,000 a mix because I would have done it myself.
Big money for a mix.
I know. So I said, whatever, it's over now, but it sounds great. But I like to be hands-on my stuff because I'm such a sound. What's the word I'm looking for? A sound. I'm just so critique over my sound. So I like to usually be in front of the speakers, tweaking myself. I mean, Lane, my brother Lane, who mixes and engineer, I don't know how he stays with me or whatever, because I'm sure I annoy the hell out of him, man. Just from saying, oh, we'll turn the bass up, or take 8K out of that, or put this plug-in on it, So he's really good. He knows. I mean, we were doing a demo yesterday at our home studio, and I mean, we just got a really good system at this point where we know, we know what we're doing, and we know how to get the sound we want. That's for sure.
So Saratoga came out when? Last year?
No, it came out this year.
Did it?
It's pretty new. I think it's like 2 weeks old or something. Maybe a little bit. Nah, it's probably 4. I think it's a month old.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure when it came out, but I knew it was recent.
From the Billboard, I think it's 7 now, but it debuted on 3, so I'm pretty stoked.
And you're always working on new music, from what you've been saying.
Oh yeah, I'm all. I mean, like I said, if unfortunately we have to. Well, that's not unfortunate. That's the wrong way to say it. But we have to tour to make money. I mean, these days you don't make money on record deals. You don't make money on songs really. So, but I would rather just stay at home and record music. But that's just not,
viable,
awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Money wise, it's not viable to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think back in the day I would have made a really good producer, and I think I could probably made a good living that way. But it's just, I was talking to somebody about it yesterday. You really got, in these days, you really got to do everything. And I mean, you really got to be able to, I mean, for my demos, I played drums. I mean, for the album Saratoga, I played drums on most tracks, guitars, bass. Only thing I can't really do is horns and keys, but I do about everything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your main instrument is what? Guitar or drums?
Guitar for sure. I'm best at the guitar, but I really like the drums. I think any great record, any record I'm listening to the drums first. So I mean, I've studied the masters and the greats. I mean, I'm not a great drummer, but I'm good enough to get a demo down. That's for sure.
Well, the bottom is important. You have to have that, and it's got to be right. If it's not right, it changes the sound of a song.
Oh yeah, that's matter of fact. Our drummer now, David Green. He's from Alabama. He's got a great pocket. He's funny as hell, and he's such a nice guy. But when we were auditioning drummers, there's a song of mine called "The Come Up," and it takes like a 16th note hi-hat groove. It's basically like "Kissing My Love" by Bill Withers, but. That's my test to any drummer. If because a lot of drummers, they can't sit there and do that 16th note, and so I've had auditions that just last 30 seconds. And I'm not like mean where I'm like, nope, it ain't gonna work. But yeah, there's people that if they can't keep that groove, I know immediately that that they don't have what it takes. And it's not a slam to people, but it's just the type of music we play is just very soul and R&B based. So you need a really good drummer.
So tell me a road story. You're a guy with lots of stories, I hear.
Oh, there's so many I can't tell because they're pretty raunchy. But not raunchy in the words of infidelity or anything like that. But just people, I've met a lot of different people over the years, man. And some stories are funny. Some of them are. I mean, a lot of stories are just us just traveling. I mean, just no one really understands like. We did a show. We did a week, 2 shows. We did one in Houston, flew back to Atlanta the next day, and then flew out from Atlanta to Europe. The only reason there was a good money gig in Houston. But I mean, as far as like road stories, I mean, it's pretty fun to go overseas, not know what the hell anyone's saying. and just being kind of buzzed in the bar. It's just kind of it's fun to live life like that. Just to, and the one time we were in Poland and we had to we played at midnight. We had to be up. A driver was coming to pick us up at 3 a.m. to take us to the airport in Poland to get a 6 a.m. flight. And we were like, screw it. There's no reason to go back to the hotel and sleep for 2 hours. So we stayed up and we were drinking in this Polish bar they were singing karaoke, but there was all American. So it was just kind of weird. But the reason why I tell this story is because I'll never forget, we walked out the bar and we were pretty toasted at that point. Otherwise, I think we probably would have gotten an altercation. But this guy was walking down the road and no, it was a girl. That's why we didn't fight, because we don't want that press. And this girl, it's called nut check, which basically means she hit all of the band members. We were walking single file line. She hit us all in the groin with her hand, just hard like that. And we were stunned. I was like, that's never happened to me. And I was stunned, but then our drummer David was like, they were trying to get in a tussle with the guys, the Polish guys. But so I was just like, I don't need to do this. I just kept walking, and we made our next gig. But it's cool road stories. I'm not really a stoner by any means. Alcohol is what I tend to pick. But the reason why I bring it up is because we were at the Fillmore in San Francisco. We played there 2 nights, opening up for a band called Galactic. Great band. We love those guys.
I know them. I know of them.
And we were opening up for him, and one of the nights, John Cleary opened. He sat in one night, but George Porter Jr. was there one night, bass player of the Meters, and he came in and he asked to use our bathroom in the dressing room because he didn't want to go all the way up to the big band's dressing room. So then this dude walks in with it's called an ounce joint, which I never smoke and play. Like if I toke, it's maybe after the show, but it was after the show. This dude came in with an ounce joint, which is like that long, and you have to hold it like this. And I hope I'm not being a bad influence, but I was like, I'm in the Fillmore. It's a Saturday night. George Porter's right here. I said, if I'm gonna smoke weed in any indoor place, I might as well do it right now. That was a great highlight of my life is getting to hang out with George Porter and asking him about how he made records and how they got that sound on Sissy Strut and stuff. I'll never forget that, man.
That's great. And who else have you opened for? Big names.
Oh man. I know we have. I don't know why my mind's blank. We literally just came back from Europe, and we did like 150 shows this year. I'm trying to think who's like been.
That's a lot of shows. 150 shows.
Yeah, I think one of my favorites was Grace Potter. We've opened up for the traveling, not the traveling Wilburys. What are they called? Jacob Dylan, Bob Dylan's son.
The Wallflowers.
Wallflowers.
Yep.
I mean, I've met so many, I've met so many famous people. I need to meet so many more. So it's kind of like that. But, we've opened up for Marcus King. I think that one of the coolest bands we opened up for is a new band called the Red Clay Strays. And those guys, you want to talk about rock stars. Those guys are rock stars, man. Like I've never seen just hype around the band like that. And like we opened up for them in a cave in Tennessee. So that was really cool. I met John Oates. John Oates is the nicest guy in the world, man. And now we're playing Daryl's house, so I hope we don't get in a fight.
Yeah, you won't. So what was Jacob Dylan like?
He was cool. The funny part about that show, he was a nice guy. His band was super nice. We left before they got done. But the funny part was that we went to a Chili's afterwards. And we didn't have a gig to do the next day. So we were kind of, unwinding and having some beers. And these people came and we were all wearing black. And evidently his band was wearing all black when they played. And they thought we were in the Wallflowers. So yeah, they asked to take a picture of me. I was like, yeah, sure. And I said, just make sure to tag us on Facebook or Instagram, the Wallflowers and stuff. So somewhere out there, someone said, shared a picture that they thought they were with the Wallflowers, but they were just taking a picture of me. But yeah, most of everybody, I mean, if you get famous in this industry, you know, most of everybody's pretty nice, you know, at this point in the game, you know. So I haven't really met anybody that was really like, you know, a jerk or anything.
That's good. You know, there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who's been like a prima donna. I can't really think. Joe Bonamont, and I'm not saying he's a prima donna. I'm saying one of the nicest guys in the blues or in the music industry alone is Joe Bonamassa. He's so nice to me. Like when I met him, he was just open arms. He let me play his guitars, everything. And this is the second time we're going to be playing his cruise coming up. And we're doing a Freddie King tribute set on it. And he told me he wants to sit in. Joe's a nice guy. That's a guy, you know, he paid for my wedding, man. I mean, when we were in Greece, he got me he rented me a big Mercedes Sprinter so we didn't have to walk. And his manager, Roy, man, super nice guys, man. Love those guys.
Wow, you're going on a cruise with them?
Yeah, we're doing I think it's in May or March. The Keeping the Blues Alive cruise. Kingfish is on it. Big Head Todd and the Monsters. I literally just got off the phone with my manager before this, and he said I'm going to be sitting in with Big Head Todd. And I'm doing that Freddie King tribute set, so I'm hoping to get Kingfish on to jam with me, and Joe to jam with me. And yeah, I just want to. These cruises are so much fun. You know, you can bring your wife, and you know, you can really kind of let loose and have a good time. You know,
that's fun. It's going to be fun.
It is, man. We got to go through the Bermuda Triangle. I'm a little worried about that, but you know.
So, where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh, probably pushing a broom somewhere. No, honestly, I don't know. Hopefully, just still being able to do it. You know, do what I'm doing. I'm not rich by any means, but I think I'm rich in the sense of getting to do what I want and not have to. You know, I've had 2 jobs in my life. You know, one was Guitar Center during pandemic, and then a bartender during the pandemic. But you know, honestly, you know, we have some really cool stuff. I can't really say it yet because, you know, A, I don't want to jinx it, and then B, I don't know if it's like against the rules, you know, with Thomas. But we are in the process of probably signing to a bigger label. And it involves Dan Arbach from the Black Keys. And so nothing's signed, nothing's done yet, but I think that's where we're moving. But like I said, I don't know if you should include that. I don't know. I don't know if it get me in trouble or not. But I'm just being honest with you. That's what's going on.
So you know those guys. They're great, the Black Keys.
I don't know them. I met Dan about 3 months ago. Super nice guy. We really clicked. We were just listening to records, and that's why I've been making all these demos, because you know I'm trying to send in my best stuff and see if they want to work with this or not. But nothing's signed, nothing's on paper yet. So we might do more records with Ruf. I got no idea. I mean, I love Ruf. He's a great guy, you know. Yeah, just making music. You know, we bought a console for our home studio. We bought a old Tascam console that. Cool enough. I mean, it's. Are you familiar with Daptone Records?
Yeah.
It's the old Daptone board that was in Brooklyn, and we bought their board. So the board that cut all the Sharon Jones records.
Yep.
Not all the Amy Winehouse, but it cut Rehab. It cut Valerie. It cut the Budos bands. I think some of Charles Bradley stuff was mixed on it. And yeah, I mean, that's made our sound complete. I mean, the Saratoga record, we didn't have that yet. So I wish we did, because I mean, even our demos sound better than the record we just put out. It's crazy. But yeah, I like getting off the road and coming straight to the studio and working on tunes.
Any, you know, you talk about blues and R&B and, you know, all the different things that you've incorporated into your repertoire of music. You're going to be doing any other divergent types of music?
Well, I've always, even if it was just for fun, I've always wanted to do a real like late 60s reggae record, which I don't think is a good idea, but it would be fun. I'm just really into like all the reverb sounds and the delays. I don't know. I think, you know, this next year is just going to be a lot of writing with, you know, really serious songwriters in Nashville. I think we've written some pretty good songs right now, and but I think the next thing is we got to get a song that's played on all the radios and stuff. We're getting pretty good traction with Saratoga, the song. I mean, they play us on Sirius XM a lot, which I'm very grateful for. But yeah, I think like anything, it's always the song, and I think that's what a lot of blues musicians fail to realize, is that they don't realize the importance of a really good song. And that's kind of what the decision I made a few years ago was. Well, do I want to sit here and play shuffles all day? And nothing's wrong with that. If that's what you want to do, or do you want to solo all night and show people how good you are? That's one thing. But I want to make really good songs, and I want people to sing my song. There's nothing better than having the fans sing your songs in front of you.
And they do, I bet, some of your fans.
Some in France they do a different language than I know of, but no, yeah, it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it's very special.
So how do people find out about you? You have a website?
Yeah, I got a website, Instagram, YouTube. Just any search bar, just type in 89 Volt.
89 Volt, not 9V, 9 Volt, right? 89volt.com.
Whatever. I say 9 Volt, but if 9V, it's whatever you want to call me. It don't hurt my.
It's whatever you want to call me. I like that.
It's not even my real name, so it doesn't hurt my feelings.
Well, Eddie, I just want to say thank you. It's been fun talking to you.
Well, thanks, man. I know I can ramble, so I hope it wasn't too long. But yeah, thanks for having me, and I appreciate you.
And we'll figure out, should I go through your publicist so you can send me the stuff that you have?
Yeah, that I would do that first, and if that doesn't work, please shoot me an email at Eddie EDDIE9V.com. Not .com. Just send me at gmail.com. I'm sorry.
At Gmail. Eddie9V at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. If you don't get anything, I'll personally get something out to you.
Great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Again, tell everyone how they can find your info.
Just go to Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and type in 89 Volt. You can always check out our tour on 89volt.com/tour. So yeah, we're doing a big American tour and the end of January and February next year. So I think we're coming up your way, and I hope we see you out there, man.
Well, you should come and hang out with me in the radio show.
I'd love to, man. I'd love to.
Well, let's keep in touch so we can work something out.
All right. Sounds good, brother. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you.